I want to eat the best chicken rice in the world, so I asked the most trustworthy food guy I know for chicken rice recommendations. You! I then sorted all the comments, DMs, shortlisted all the most mentioned ones, sorted them by area, and began on my journey. I started in the north of Singapore with Chicken House along Upper Thomson, 925 at Yishun, and Sin Min Road Chicken Rice at Bishan. Right from the get-go, we established that rice is the heartbeat of chicken rice. Having something so plain looking deliver such an addictive flavor is iconic of the dish. We also established that jelly, the layer that forms underneath the skin, as dissolved gelatin is given the chance to congeal together, is desirable, but not the be-all end-all of chicken rice. My favorite chicken rice in the north was Chicken House. Their chicken is something I want to have a go at again. I then move on to the east to try Le Cheng at Bedok, Katong Mei Wei at Katong Shopping Centre, and Hoa Ki in Tampines. We had some of the best soups here, and it was obvious to me how complementary a good soup is to chicken rice. Something about the combination of soup, dish and rice just delights my DNA. It's something my whole bloodline will enjoy. It will, however, be ironically the last time we will have a quality soup. My favorite from this week was Le Cheng. We didn't hit a 3 plates, but Le Cheng was the closest. Next up was the south, where I had Rong Qi at Bukit Merah, Bun Dong Ki at Balestier, and Bao Mei at Dover. Bun Dong Ki planted 2 ideas in my head that I carried for the rest of the series. First, I think I really like my rice well separated and not overcooked, otherwise known as Li Li Fen Ming, a term you'll hear me mention 49 times in the series. Second, I think that the chicken should carry 70 to 80% of the flavor, and the sauce should fill in the rest. There are going to be chicken rice dishes that are going to challenge these ideas, but for now, I think you can guess which was my favorite. Episode 4 sent us to the west, where I had Margaret Drive Sinki along Holland Drive, Shimei at Bukit Gombak, and Xingyun in Jurong East. This was the first episode of the series with 3 broilers and no kampong chickens. We started to see the ceiling of the broiler. While it is economical, tender, and probably practical, 再快也只是个8/6. My favorite of the lot was Margaret Drive. Good value, tasty chicken, probably one of the best in the broiler category. At this point, I thought I got a pretty good idea of what the current level of Singaporean chicken rice is like, what the market rate is. But like I said in the first sentence of this video, I want to eat the best chicken rice in the world. So thus began a month-long journey to see what chicken rice is like beyond our island. We began in Malaysia with Pine Chicken Rice in Johor Bahru, Swee Kee in Senai, Nam Hyong and the region in Kuala Lumpur. This episode introduced perhaps the first true kampong chicken of the series, at the Regent. The meat was tough, but the flavor was so intense that even with a sauce, it dominated 90 to 95% of the profile. It was obvious that no broiler could taste like that. At the same time, it does question if a chicken that is not tender is suitable in chicken rice. Regardless, my favorite was the region. Breaking the ceiling on how chickeny a chicken can taste was very impressive, even if I wasn't sure at the time that it was correct. I took my doubts to Bangkok, where I had Goang Pratunam, Ko Kai chicken, and Muek Mong Kai. Any chicken rice lover will dabble in the occasional Gua and Gien, otherwise known as liver and gizzards. At Muek Mong Kai, we had undoubtedly the best liver. The chicken rice too was flawless, but more interestingly, it was then when we first suspected that the ideal bird for chicken rice is not the broiler nor the kampong, but a hybrid, not just in species but size and age. The rabbit hole deepens and the only way is down. To Vietnam, where I had Kum Ga Ahai and Ham Nok and Da Nang and Babui and Nya in Hoi An. This was a swing and a miss. I had reason to believe that the Kum Ga came from the Hainanese chicken rice, but as we have found out, it has evolved beyond what the dish is. What is good Kum Ga will not be good Hainanese chicken rice, and vice versa. It wasn't all for naught though. We got to experience what a true kampong chicken is like. Tough, intensely chickeny with an unforgiving stench. We then took a short flight over to a country who only recently fell in love with the dish, Hong Kong. There we had Yankee, all-day chicken lab, and golden chicken. The average standard of the chicken was unreal. Even the supermarket chicken looked tournament ready. Taste, texture, color, trust the Cantonese to know how to make an ingredient shine. However, they like a small shallot onion forward rice, which I didn't appreciate. You know what else didn't I appreciate? You know, let's not talk about it. Moving on to patient zero, to the epicenter, Hainan, where we had Bai Qie Si Chia and Yi Qun Fu Yuan at Haikou, and Wang Xiang Lou and Quan Ping Nong Jia in Wenchang. We learned firsthand how the Wenchang chicken made its name. We had some great chickens thus far, but the Wenchang chicken was ridiculously flavorful. It was the purest, fattiest, most satisfying chicken flavor in the series. But it also asked a very uncomfortable question. Is the rice in chicken rice a side or a main? I had my answer from day one, but having the most impressive chicken flavor in my life stress tested it for me. The picture of my ideal chicken rice becomes clearer. It was then time to head back to the Lion's Den, home. We return to Central Singapore with Hainanese Delicacy in Far East Plaza, Tian Tian and Atai in Maxwell Food Centre. Here, coming back to the broiler was a bit of a whiplash. The chicken flavour felt like 10% of what we just had, but at the same time, it does have the consistent tenderness and silkiness that is arguably critical to chicken rice. My favourite that week was Hainanese Delicacy. We continue in Central with Golden Mile Tian Kee in Golden Mile Tower, Ji Zai Ji in Golden Mile Food Centre, and Chin Chin along Purvis Street. 3 great chicken rice, but my favourite, Ji Zai Ji, solidified what I was looking for in the rice of a chicken rice. The texture, the flavour, everything I've been saying all this while. Ji Zai Ji is basically it. Still, I couldn't get enough of chicken rice. So we had one more last chance episode to try to hit the spots that I might have missed, like Nam Kee along Upper Thomson, Ming Kee in Bishan, and Nash Chicks in MacPherson. Ming Kee served the best calf chicken in the series, an underrated factor that took so long to show itself, while Nash Chicks had one of the most delicious chili we came across. This week was a tight one, but my favourite was Nash Chicks. Lastly, for the members episode, we had Sing Soon Lee in Ang Mo Kio, Chatterbox in Orchard, and Tzu Jing Chen in Alexandra Village. My favourite was... So Eldrick, which is the best chicken rice? I don't know. I had all these chicken rice across such a long period of time. I have had my idea of a perfect chicken rice tested, shifted, questioned. The current me will not agree with the person who started on this journey. So, we are revisiting the top 3 chicken rice of the series, having them back to back to back in order to determine who has the best chicken rice. Welcome to the finale. Our first of the top 3 is also the first stop of the series. We are back at Upper Thomson at Chicken House, and it's almost obvious why this is one of the top 3. Really beautiful kampong chicken, really beautiful color, jelly apparent, and this I did not realize was such a big factor until really late in the series. Very well carved chicken. You can see that the breast meat, because of the sharpness of the blade, because of the technique, is not squashed at all. It's still sitting very tall. The integrity of the meat is still really nice. It makes for a very different mouthfeel. Chicken rice can get underwhelming when the chicken is sliced too thin or smashed. Anyway, let's start with the finale. It's funny how I had to eat more chicken rice in order for this chicken rice to taste better. I started the series with this and I've forgotten how good it is. Straight up, the chicken is the best. I will give it full marks. Starting from the breed, this is what I'm looking for. A kampong chicken. My running theory is that most of the kampong chicken in Singapore are not real kampong chickens per se. They are sort of a hybrid because this has nowhere near the toughness that kampong chicken is supposed to have. But the flavor, the chickeny flavor, is so full. The cook on it is actually perfect. The tenderness of the breast, the jelly on the drumstick, and look at this coating of jelly on the chicken wing. When I had it the first time, I had a critic like, the sauce is a bit overwhelming for the amount of chicken, but when you go for the half chicken, this amount of saucing is beautiful. The sauce is on the saltier side. It's not something that you can drink on its own, but I like that they kept it minimal. As we have seen in some places, there's almost like a puddle in which the chicken is dipping in. Literally, this is the chicken I want every time. Condiments, I also want to say almost full marks. This chili is spicy and yet still fruity and aromatic. The ginger scallion is all quality. You can probably see. However, the biggest weightage going into the finale is the rice. On its own, it's okay, but I think the chicken is on the tamer flavor profile. It's not really savory, it's not really oily. It's a bit more on the lighter side, which allows the condiments, the chicken to shine more. I appreciate this direction, but my ideal rice is 1, the rice that you can have on its own, and 2, the rice that you cannot stop eating. It is hard to stop eating this rice combined with the rest of the meal, but on its own, not as strong, which makes this tricky to rate. Because obviously it makes more sense to rate chicken rice as a whole. Nobody eats just the rice or just the chicken. But if we were to go by the rubric and rate it in isolation, it's not as strong. But damn, totally no regrets putting this into top 3. Let's move on to the second one. For our second of the top 3, we are at Boon Tong Kee Balestier Y'all will have seen this coming, one of the biggest names for a reason, and I want to make very clear that we are the Balestier outlet. I know a lot of you have been saying that Buntongki at other outlets paints a completely different picture, but we are at the flagship. This chicken, I'm almost convinced that this is the best bird to use. The slight yellow hue, again with the jelly, not as much as what we saw at Chicken House, but still, just from the shine I know it's cooked impeccably as well. They even drizzle the sauce on at the last step, right after serving you, a pretty nice touch, and they serve it cold. I also remember this to be one of the best rice in the series, although I still don't like that they serve it in such a small bowl. Like, isn't this very uncomfortable to eat out of? Like, you're surely gonna get rice out of the bowl, right? But before we get to the nitty gritty, let's have a bite. There were at least 5 or 6 contenders for the top 3. At least. I chose Buntongki because they did one thing really well. Their rice. My definition of a great chicken rice, I think I mentioned it just now, a rice that you can eat on its own and a rice that you cannot stop eating. The Buntongki rice fulfills these 2 requirements very well. The rice grains separated, the texture good, that balance between increasing the flavor with oiliness, with savouriness, and cutting it with aromatics like ginger. The yin and yang really gives you a Mobius strip. And to top it off, today's rice is lousier than the previous time I came here earlier in the series. The rice is softer and a bit more broken. But still, like you saw, I needed 2 bowls. Maybe it's because the portion is smaller. But moving on to the chicken, great chicken, cooked really well. But comparing to where we just came from, this chicken is a little less flavorful. Towards the deeper parts of the chicken, parts that the sauce cannot help, it is slightly bland. This I imagine could be due to the type of bird or the lack of brining or seasoning in the cooking broth. You don't feel like the seasoning penetrated enough. The bird is also slightly tougher than Chicken House, but still considered tender by any means. Plenty of jelly all around, really good chicken. Similar to Chicken House, I appreciate this kind of saucing. Letting the chicken shine, only aiming to accent the flavor. Other than the chicken and the rice, I don't like 2 things. 1, I'm pretty sure if I go back to the kitchen right now, I will see a tub of Singlong garlic chili sauce. This flavor is identical, I want to say, to something that I can get off the shelf in supermarket. But not only that, it is not something that I like. This pasty garlic chili sauce goes very well with fries, but with chicken rice, I still want something more traditional. And then the second thing that I don't like is the lack of soup. This is counterbalanced by the fact that Buntongki is a full restaurant, so they have a lot of dishes that you can order. One of them being soup of the day. If I were here to eat chicken rice like a normal person, I wouldn't skip it. I think a good soup adds a lot to the chicken rice experience. But I think if I ordered that, you all can agree that it will be very, very unfair. For those of you on the channel for the first time, the point of doing this finale is to compare the top 3 back to back to back. So we are taking the standard of what we are served today. All of you know your favorite restaurants can be on form, off form one. I said so much, but these 2 chicken rice that I just had, easy recommendations. Which makes me very excited. Can our 3rd place be as competitive today? Let's find out. For the 3rd and the last place, we could have been at McPherson. We could have been at Bishan. But alas, we are at Golden Mile, at Ji Zai Ji. For one reason, their rice very nice. Even just looking, I have a very good feeling that this will be the best rice today. You see how the rice grain is so whole, long, and small in a way. It almost looks retrograded. That sheen on the rice, very little broken grains. This is my textbook example of the best texture for chicken rice. I'm very happy that I get to eat it here. I was thinking that Buntongki might have served something like this, but today the form isn't too good. This was what I was looking for. And then the last time that I was here, I said that the sauce is a bit much. I was tempted to ask for less sauce, but thinking about how I ordered half a chicken, I think it will balance out like a Chicken House. But anyway, let's give this a go. Wow, don't do this to me. I hate this so much. I hate this so much. But I don't want to jump the gun. This is my 10. This is the perfect chicken rice to me. This texture, this level of seasoning intensity. If you tell me to dream a chicken rice, this is what I would dream. I really like this Li Li Fen Ming solid rice texture of the rice. It makes eating rice so fun. I mentioned earlier in the series, you choose the type of rice that you like. Every household is different. Some of you 吃软饭 one, But this spoonful where I can feel every bounce of the rice, it's like I'm a kid again swimming in a ball pit. But the chicken, while nice, I can easily imagine some people liking this. It's not what I'm looking for. It is really well cooked, but the flavor of the broiler is lower, and that is replaced by dousing it in this sweet savory sauce. The sauce takes up more than half of the flavor profile, which I want to repeat is not a bad flavor profile. The sauce is attractive, just less of what I'm looking for. Also, the carving is not great. It might be because they removed the bones, since they are a boneless place, but a lot of the morsels of meat are very weak, very sloppy. I don't think this is a very big factor for most, but after 40 chicken rice, it's something that I've taken notice of. But what I really hate about it is that it's such a sick joke. The whole series I have been repeating, the most important thing in chicken rice is the rice. An argument can be made for the chicken. If you say the chili is the most important, you are eating trash chicken rice. But now it's like some sort of sick, be careful what you wish for. Because I have the perfect rice. This is the best rice in the series. But the chicken is broiler, doused in sauce, and not what I'm looking for. You would think the answer is very straightforward, right? But I really prioritize chicken rice. There is no other dish that the supposed side, something that is so plain, can be so delicious and so addictive. It is one of the most magical things about chicken rice, especially for people who are having it for the first time. It's so incredible the level of flavor it has, the addictiveness of it, that you can ignore everything else on the table and finish it first. That I want to say is a key appeal in chicken rice. Obviously, all three chicken rice are very good. I'm comfortable with recommending any of them. But to choose a best, I'm not gonna rush it. I'm gonna take my time to think about it. But you guys will know just about now. My favorite chicken rice in Singapore is Chicken House. I don't know when you'll be watching this, maybe 2026, maybe it's 3 years from now. But as of this moment, if I could only eat one chicken rice in Singapore for the rest of my life, I'll choose Chicken House. Ask me again tomorrow and it might be 鸡仔鸡. But having the best chicken and a high average across all the components, you know what? I think I've said enough, right? Can I just like it? I like it. Because I know, I hear the chatter already. I hear the Reddit threads being written. Chicken House, so overrated, so overpriced, standard drop already. I like ananas better. You never tried the who, the where, the downstairs, the... I will implore all of you not to be overly harsh on our national dish. Yes, I know you all love it, but just because our national average is a 7 doesn't make being 5 or 6 trash. It only hurts us to talk down our local food. Having literally the rest of the world rave about Tian Tian, while simultaneously having most Singaporeans demean Tian Tian like it's inedible, like it's garbage. It is the most painfully Singaporean thing I've experienced. We say we love hawker food, but every 50 cents increase is, wow, hawkers nowadays so greedy, laughing to the bank already. All while we pay double digits for fast food and Chinese franchises. At a single digit price, we scrutinize the food literally harsher than Michelin inspectors. Every small thing is fail already, standard drop, the Google review starter pack. Is this our so-called love? Are we surprised that the hawker scene is declining? The youngsters nowadays don't eat hawker food already. Yeah? Who do you think they learned that from? Being one of, if not the only human being on the planet who has eaten the chicken rice of 6 countries in the last 4 months, I can confidently say the average chicken rice in Singapore outclasses that of any other country. But is it better than the best of those countries? Is Singapore chicken rice the best in the world? How do we compare chicken rice dishes thousands of kilometers apart in a single point of time and not rely on impressions or vague memories? I can think of one way. So pack your bag, boys, we are running it back. Let's revisit the top 3 chicken rice in the overseas arc, having them back to back to back in order to find out who has the best chicken rice in the world. For the last time in the series, let's get it, guys!
It's time to jump up in the air.
We are back at the Regent at the best chicken rice we found during the Malaysia episode. And I got the same, this really beautiful looking chicken, cooked impeccably and somehow a smaller bowl of rice than Bontongki. I didn't think that was possible. But anyway, I was warranted in being scared for Singapore after that episode. This chicken quality is dangerously close to Chicken House. From the cook on the chicken, to the amount of chicken flavor, to how it's sauced. And not only that, today's breast is not tough. Much more tender than what I had during the series. And I'm okay to call it right now, the region has the best ginger paste throughout the series. What you're looking at is all oil. There is no water. It makes it super fragrant and appetizing. I wouldn't say the rice is competitive with the best of Singapore, but everything added together is not an easy question to answer. So what do? Let's fly right now to our next great chicken rice. We are now in Bangkok, back at Muit Muang Khai. But this time we are getting their half chicken and also their premium liver. This time they didn't say it's the last piece. I might have been overly impressed the last time I came here because of the standard of Thai chicken rice. But let's try again now. Rice quality is something that I wouldn't have thought of prior to this series. But eating this many and then coming back here again, you can see how the texture of each grain is so pronounced. It's like it's drawn. A lot of chicken rice, when you take a spoonful, it's almost like it's forming rice cakes in your mouth after a while. It sort of starts to mash together. But here you can feel the texture of each grain. This will be top 2 rice, up there with Ji and top 1 in terms of raw rice quality. Chicken is good. I don't want to repeat the term I used all series, but the highlight has to be the premium liver. It is ironic despite the love that Singapore has for the dish, nobody pays attention to the gizzards, to the liver. This quality, this creaminess without the stench is phenomenal. Even having it again for the second time, I cannot come up with any misses. I retain my stand. Comparable with the best of Singapore. So let's move on to our last comparable chicken rice. For our last stop, we are back in the country with the best chicken average, back in Hong Kong. Only this time I employed the anti-tap toy strat, cause we are in the other outlet. In a food court, the chicken looks very good. The whole series, I've been throwing around the term perfectly cooked, like I'm Oprah. This is beyond perfectly cooked. The slight hue of pink, almost intimidating, shows that they kept a low temperature all the way. And yet both the dark meat and white meat not just have the perfect texture, but are seasoned throughout. This flavor is so thorough. As the chicken for chicken rice, I don't expect it to be this good. This chicken can be carved up, paired with a novel sauce and served in any Michelin restaurant. Oof. And now for the most important question. And whatever the result may be, I can tell you all 3 that we just had are all competitive. I'll go think about it. I'll let you all know the results real soon. My favorite chicken rice in the world is Chicken House. This was way closer than I expected it to be. The region sources a good bird and applies restaurant level finesse across all their components. But as cliche as it may be, when both sides are so good, the nitty gritty, like the jelly, starts to matter. Muit Muang Khai, being in Thailand, unsurprisingly has the best rice quality, served with by far the best liver I've ever had. And I still have no misses. It's just that across the board, Chicken House is more suited to my palate. All Day Chicken Lab had the best cooked chicken in the series, but their shallot forward rice and sweet chili sauce does not fit my idea of chicken rice. Not that it's bad, but at this point, after having spent tens of thousands of words justifying, rationalizing, after 4 months, 48 plates of chicken rice, a dozen flights to 6 countries, if I could have any chicken rice for tomorrow's lunch, I'll pick Chicken House. Shout out to the following chicken rice places: Best Rice, Ji, Best Chili, Nash Chicks, Best Ginger, The Regent, Best Soup, Katong Mei Wei, and all the places that serve me delicious chicken rice. Thank you for feeding me. And that brings us to the end of the series. I hope you all had fun. I hope you all got a little hungry. And I hope you all don't take my ratings too seriously. I am not a chicken rice expert. I know less than your downstairs chicken rice uncle. I'm just a guy that loves food and loves making videos about it. I get things wrong, and I thank those of you who continuously help me understand this world of food better. Shout out to the members and those of you who support the channel. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing, and hopefully subscribing. Thank you for allowing me to do what I love to do. And boy, do I want to keep doing this. Because eating good food is so enjoyable. Don't you think?